there is a common theme amongst anything at a high level, or finding the resolution to something, or finding at least the next step to something. And that ingredient, which occurs in almost everything, is just pattern recognition. So if you can become better, more cognizant, more intentional of recognizing patterns, everything is cyclical. So you'll be able to predict, in inverted commas, the future. But realistically, what you're actually doing is just using history, reading the patterns, and then understanding what's going to happen with a higher probability moving forward. And that can be applied to anything, whether it is YouTube and you're recognizing different thumbnails in a particular niche, or headings, or subconsciously how many characters they're using. You can do this in almost anything. And this is why you see people that once they become successful, once they grow a business, once they make a business which turns over a lot of money, once they can replicate it multiple times. You see people that get in good shape once, even if they get very out of shape, they're able to get back in shape because they have the tools and they have the resources. And once you have done all of that once, and you just have enough experience and patterns to recognize, you can then just implement that, plug and play it into absolutely anything. So a complete side tangent of where we started, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, well, I mean, that is where we started. I had absolutely nothing off the back end of that. But whatever we were talking about before we got onto this podcast, it just sparked that particular thought. So I thought I would share it with you. So that's...
I was going to actually just move on from that. Is where were you applying that knowledge? What sparked that train of thought? Is there anything in your life right now that you're applying? Well,
honestly, everything. That's why I say it can be applied to everything. Quite honestly, everything. So when I'm doing the designs for the clothing, for example, when I'm doing the content ideas, the content strategies, when I'm building different strands to the business, I'm pattern recognizing between so many different things. I'm pattern recognizing between different fashion outlets and how they particularly do things, but I'm also pattern recognizing with particular YouTubers and how they do launches and pop-ups and how they create long form and how they create short form. And that's just from the clothing. And then pattern recognizing realistically on the shorter form platforms, different styles of content. And then it can go into a million layers. So on a surface layer, you can have something along the lines of course, similar headings or similar wording in headings. And then you can just look at the patterns and find, right, okay, I found that when people are talking about MMA and they use this type of vocabulary, this type of sentence at this length, then it's likely to be successful on this type of content. That's a more surface level. That's more surface level,
That's
right?
the level. Wow, okay. That's surface level. That's about as precise as you can go.
Maybe I say that surface level more a case of it actually sits on the surface, so it's something you can visually see. So maybe it's a combination of both. It is kind of entrance level, but it's also on the surface. But below the surface, like I said, this goes on to layers and layers and layers, and this then is channeled into everything. So if we're to go down the same vein of content, you can then go into, right, okay, if you're using a green screen, is it an image or is it a video? If it's an image, how many images are you switching between? Is it a preference to go a still image for the full thing and then change the positioning of the person? Or is it better to change the images throughout, more engaging? Because typically your brain would think more images better, more engaging. Incorrect. Actually found that one still image, whilst manipulating the certain positioning of the face, is then more preferential. It used to be the smaller you were when you green screened and you went over a video or a picture, the better it was because it was less invasive and you got to saw the other thing. However, now there's a big switch where there's an actual preference of the face is a lot bigger and actually dominates the screen, and then you move out the way and actually show things and more of a presentation style where it's more one-to-one.
Especially more so for you as well. Sorry, just to jump in there. Obviously, that applies more to you because you're more of a recognizable face.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I've not even thought of that, and you're 100% spot on. Because, no, you're 100% spot on. It wasn't even something I'd even thought about, but the more recognized your brand becomes, if that's you wearing a ski mask or if that's your face, whatever that may be, you're 100% right. It will instantly engage more views because subconsciously it's telling people I can trust this source. But just to round off on what I was saying, it goes on to infinite levels over years and years and years, and it will only continue to grow. But like I was saying, it can just be applied into anything. So whether that's social media, whether that's building a business or building a brand or building your clothing or creating thumbnails or whatever it may be, everything. You think of it this way. This is a good place to finish it. When they do IQ tests, ultimately, it's a test of recognizing patterns. They don't test EQ, but if they were to test EQ, so emotional intelligence, it would essentially be recognizing patterns in behavior and people, more so than actual numerically, which is an IQ test. But essentially it all comes back to recognizing patterns. So if you can just be more conscientious, or one, not necessarily you, but one can be more conscientious of that, and you can use AI now at your disposal to help you with that, which is just an unlimited tool. That's where the money is. That's where the money is.
Exciting times. What a way to kick off the 59th, I do believe it is, episode of the MMA Creators Podcast. This is what we're about on this channel. This is what we do. Very interesting stuff. But I actually, the sentiment, that creative spark, just that, I listen to the way you're talking and, the way you're describing these sort of creative moments of you. I'm not wording it particularly well, but this week in particular for me, there's been a lot of those sort of questions and figuring out new ideas, because I launched my second channel, and I know you took the piss out of me a couple of weeks ago because I kept talking about making the channel more so than actually just going out and doing it. So I finally decided to bite the bullet, but it wasn't about mixed martial arts, and I already did tell you about this. I decided to flip the script a little bit and talk about games, which is like my first love. Of course, I did it as a degree for uni, and I just grown up playing them, and I was like, I would love to just talk about games candidly, waffle into the camera for 15-20 minutes, cutting up a little bit and adding in some green screen in the background. And I was inspired by a couple of creators who did that style, but it was very spur of the moment for them, and it wasn't a continued thing. And I'm kind of living vicariously through that, trying to do it myself and replicate that style that I loved so much. So yeah, did the first episode of that on Friday night / Saturday, but it took me surprisingly long time because again, any creator will know gathering footage takes bloody ages. So I had to go out and do that, and obviously credit all the people I was using footage from, etc., all the little things, and it adds up. But it was a really fun process, and it's hopefully the beginning of something big. And I want to just leverage my audience. I think that's an important thing to do, is leverage the audience I already had, because that's going to give me a leg up. I can, convert the people who watch my channel into watching another channel just for me, not just about MMA. They're there watching for me, which is what I kind of want to do a little bit more. It's what I try and do with the streams. And yeah, it's different but the same, I guess, because obviously I'm very familiar with the creative pipeline of creating YouTube videos, whether that's editing, recording, and of course publishing and thumbnails and all this and that. But it's the little details in between that are quite refreshing. But it was very fun. Again, I could talk for hours and hours about my favorite games, so why not try and do it at least partially for a living?
I know
it's not your thing.
The channel, fantastic idea. He was like, I could speak for hours about these games. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I like listening to the process.
I wasn't going to.
Let's not get into the X's and O's. I mean, you've got a place for that now. But no, it's all jokes aside. It's good to hear that you took the step on that. And that even circles back to, you said you said earlier to me, what's an example of that for you in regards to the patterns? That's you doing that, whether you realize it or not. That's you, even down to the small detail of recognizing the pattern of, okay, I want to build something like a YouTube channel, and because you've done it before, you now know that it has to be on something which is of a passion point for you. And even it seems like a nothing detail, but even just that alone is going to save you a lot of time and energy and resources, because sometimes people get caught up in trying to do something because they think that's what's going to make money, or that is what's making money currently, or that's what's trending. So that's always an easy pitfall. So the fact that you sort of sidestepped what you was initially going to do and then just thought, you know what, I'd rather do it on gaming, I'll go into that. Well done to you. I do what?
You know the feeling. It's variance, right? Isn't it? You just get, sorry, I'll throw it back to you, but it's just, you get tired of talking about the same things over and over, or revolving your entire life around one thing. I mean, that's why, you get something out of, doing all sorts of different things, even if it's revolved around MMA just as a total thing. You're always doing different elements, and obviously I try and incorporate the same sort of thing, maybe to a lesser degree, and obviously this is just adding to that. I got the podcast, I stream, I do the videos, and now I've got this as well. It just keeps me mentally stimulated. You're good. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Just wanted to hear what you had to say on that, but I think for me, and this isn't necessarily going to be for everyone, because the truth of it is you never really know these answers necessarily when you start things, but I always knew for me that I wanted to do it like this in regards to having quite loose ends with what I was doing, so that I could float into different things and bring it all under the guise of MMA. I knew that was what I wanted to do, because this wasn't just an overnight thing that I stumbled across. These was a lot of micro decisions over the years which kind of led me to this. Not necessarily I knew that it was going to be this, but why that's relevant is because I knew I wanted to go into cooking and some travel and some clothing and some documentaries and some interviews, and so I always knew that I was going to have to draw it into MMA. And why that's quite important for me is because, like you said, you get a bit bored otherwise, and I find there's weeks now where I'm not even looking forward necessarily to the Saturday fights, and I couldn't care less. Now, if I only just covered fighting and I only just spoke about this weekend's fights and broke those down and spoke about next week's card, because there are some channels that do that and enjoy that, I would not enjoy it very, very quickly, because that would be way too one-dimensional for me, and I just get bored of it. I just get bored of things. Yeah, it's not...
Yeah, you're pigeonholed.
It's not necessarily, I have to be this free spirit. Well, it is actually, to be honest. I just get bored of things, and I just want to go and try different things. I don't really know what I'm going to like tomorrow. That's my honest truth.
And you're ambitious. It's that put together. You're ambitious, and you mix that with the variance thing that I was talking about. It leaves you just wanting to jump in between different things and start something new and build that up, and start this and build that up, and it's a never-ending sort of process. I think a lot of people are like that. I don't think it's a uncommon characteristic, because I think I
do think the important thing with
attention spans are just short. Naturally, we always want to do something else. I don't think
it's an attention span thing, to be honest. I don't.
Yeah, not.
And I'm not trying to be pedantic pulling you out on that. I'm just intentional with phrases like that nowadays, because I feel like they're types of phrases that get mixed up in some wrong conversations sometimes. Yeah, overused for sure.
Yeah, overused.
I feel like every sentence these days is, I don't know, a diagnosis, a mental health conversation. And I'm glad that the world has opened up more so about speaking about mental health and it being more. I'm glad that world is shifting towards that. But I think, like everything, we've overcorrected, at least for now, where we're in a place where everything is about it. And it's all the buzzwords, and it's dropped in everything. And sometimes now you're in this place where you think, well, do you actually care, or is that just a marketing ploy? Are you using that for a marketing buzzword? It's like, it gets a little bit
No, I'm with you. I'm with you completely.
Yeah, it's
disillusioned a little bit.
Overused it at this point, but
no, I feel it. I guess that's a good way of describing MMA in a lot of ways. With how much, how many fight nights we're getting, I don't know, oversaturated. I feel like I'm a little bit disillusioned with the sport, but I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like it's a process that every MMA fan goes through at some point, and it ebbs and flows. It's always an up and down sort of dynamic. And, you know, because a newer fan is going to have a completely different perspective. They're going to be really excited to watch a fight night. Once they're embedded in the sport, they become, you know, the early hardcores. As I always describe it as a sort of bell curve, right? Where you first start watching MMA, you're a very casual fan, and you only watch the big cards. You watch Conor McGregor fight, and then that gradually ramps up, and you're watching every fight night, every terrible main event between two fat heavyweights, and then eventually it gets to the point where you sort of watch less and less and less, and you're almost watching the same amount as the casuals do because you've been watching the sport for so long. And yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, but I feel like it's a process that everybody goes through, and I don't think that could be exemplified any more than the absolutely terrible fight night we had the other week and the one we've got coming up. And I don't want to touch on the last one too much, but I'll just quickly have to mention Rose Namajunas looking impressive. And I've had to ask you one question: where does she go now in the flyweight division after beating
I don't think it was a bad
Tracy Cortez?
I think there was some fun fights, some good knockouts. Yeah, there were some big moments.
John Silver.
I've been saying this. Tell me if I'm lying, and I've just completely gone over your question. I'll come back to it. But tell me if I'm lying. I've been saying this
I know.
for the longest time. Elbows are way underutilized in MMA, and back-to-back weeks, there have been elbow stoppages. The risk to reward of using elbows is nonsensical. Why there isn't just a significant outpour in their numbers. Now, I'm not saying that you literally should just walk forward like a rotary blade and trying to cut people open like a prime Tony Ferguson, but could they be used infinitely more than they currently are? 100%. Baffles me, to be perfectly honest. You
should see me in the game. I'm spamming them like
you
this.
You literally are like a rotary blade, like a little ninja. Have you seen the new Ninja Creamy? Ninja Creamy?
The what?
What?
I have no idea. That's just two words you put together in a phrase. I don't know what that is.
What air fryer do you have?
Oh, right. I don't know what the brand is. It might be Ninja one. It might be Ninja one. Okay, I see where you're going.
Does it say Ninja or not? That's like saying, what bag have you got? Might be Gucci. No, you'd know if it's Gucci. You'd know if it's...
I don't know. It might do.
You'd know if it's a little gucky
I'm going to look it up. It's nice though. It's a nice air fryer. I'll say that. So I'm going to assume. Oh yeah, I think it is a Ninja one. Yeah, it's a Ninja one. It's a Ninja one.
You're just ignorant in the air fryer.
It is. I can confirm.
You're just spoiled.
Listen, mate. I put my chips in there. I don't care about brand awareness. I'm there for my chips.
That's all right. That's the elite air fryer. The Ninja's the elite, but essentially,
a bit more. But
the reason,
it's very good.
It always makes me think of this particular story, right? So my friend trains near me. Back at home, there's a Muay Thai gym not far away from me, and he trains there. And with a really, really good coach, actually. And he had a sparring partner one day, and he was just a chronic oversharer. Someone that just gave out way more than you need to or should. And they were just people that trained together occasionally. He didn't really ever speak to him. But they were sparring, and he was just oversharing and was essentially just saying how he broke up with his missus and they'd just got a divorce.
I was going to ask. It was going to be a divorce or something. That's literally what I was going to ask. I was like, what was it going to be about
natural
divorce?
Progression. So
yeah, absolutely.
He starts talking about divorce as they're training, as they're sparring, and how they had to sell everything and how they've split the money. And what she was doing, she was basically travelling around the world, going on these holidays, going out with the girls, you know. And then my mate was like, "Oh, all right, what are you doing with your lump of the sum?" And he basically said that he just treated himself to the complete new ninja range from top to bottom. Every bell and whistle you could possibly imagine of the air fryer selections. And I have never heard a more logical and probably a happier man, because that excites me heavily. I remember at uni, this is a random one, but at uni, I used to live with this kid, right? I used to live with this kid, and I love him, but he was just a dosser. But his family, no, I do, I love it. He honestly, he was. He just was. He knows he is as well. Like, it's not.
I feel that.
And his old man used to work in the Middle East, and whenever he did work with the sheikhs, the clients, they would give him gifts as part of the culture, and they would give him incredible gifts, Rolexes and these incredible Gucci bags, one pieces and things, really unbelievable gifts. I remember they was obviously just so wealthy, they had a big house and it was full of stuff anyway, so he would just give this stuff to us at uni. So at home I've just got a bunch of random things. No, I've just got a bunch of,
I'm seeing where this is
not a
going.
ninja range, but I've just got a bunch of random things. No.
I thought you were going to get an air
just coming
fryer.
back to my love of high-end appliances. And I just got this...
Yeah, I feel like that's a natural progression, isn't it?
Scroll.
It is. Sorry, carry on.
Also, he gave me a mini Dyson, and that was the most excited I've ever been for a gift when I got one of the top-range mini Dysons.
Oh.
I felt like the boy. Anyone came around my room in uni, it was crazy.
There's something about that. Isn't it though? There's like I spoke about this yesterday. I was with my friends and I was like, there's just like a certain switch, a certain time where you grow up, where you have a certain birthday and you realize you're getting old because you get excited over kitchen appliances. Ooh. Like, I got a new set of knives for Christmas, and I was like the happiest guy ever. And I was like, Jesus, when did this happen to me? They're nothing. It was Damascus steel. They're like a Damascus steel set. It was Nanfang. It was nice. It was a decent set of knives. But what I've read is actually it's probably better to just put all the money towards like one chef knife, like just one really, really high quality knife rather than a whole set, because I didn't end up using half of them. Like I used the chef knife and the little knife and
do
some
you
of the other
use
stuff.
them?
The weirdest ramble. How do we go from Rose Navy University,
or do you just get
to fucking
the big cleaver, big dog, and just use that for everything? Yeah.
Oh, mate. I'm on the chef knife, yeah. I'm chef knife's the all-purpose. That's what it's
the
there
pinnacle
for.
Male
That was the go-to.
Whatever you are doing, just
always
grab the biggest, scariest looking knife, and that will do the job for everything. And I can imagine you're using that to prepare your 9-day ramen.
Yeah, I did. When I did do it, I haven't cooked in a while though, since I've been living home. But also, my long story, my knives got given away to my brother who's still at uni, but he just graduated. So shout out to him. What a tangent. How the fuck again? How do we do this? How do we go?
Point, you said you haven't cooked in a while. I actually haven't cooked, and this to some people may be normal, but to me, I cook quite often, or at least back home. I have not cooked since March. Since I got here, I have not cooked a meal. No. Not
you miss it?
No.
I'm assuming you do.
Not at all.
No? To be fair, I think cooking does stress me the hell out. I love the eventual process of it, but it's long, man. Well, especially after you like training,
No, that's just laziness.
Don't want to go
that's
and cook
why I
after I
don't
train.
enjoy it. I can't be bothered for that. Yeah, I can't be bothered for that.
Yeah.
Once in a blue moon, I'll be in this mood where I want to go and get these certain ingredients and chef up a certain meal or make it delicious and present it delightfully.
Oh, yeah.
And they used to be few and far between, but fairly often. Now they're almost never, because I look at it now, it's just a time thing, and it's just always a good chunk of time. And I always think I've probably got better things I could be doing. So whether I'm fortunate that someone either cooks for me or I chuck something in the air fryer, not a ninja, but yeah, I got like.
Well, you're getting fried chicken on Uber Eats.
I've been getting.
Let's not pretend that's not.
I've had the last couple of days.
That's not happening.
It's been powerful. I've been getting my first ever Taco Bell. I got one in Thailand, a Thailand Taco Bell.
Oh, see, this is interesting. Okay. Because there's Taco Bell like
disgusting.
have started to expand in the UK now, and they actually had One of the first ones in
Disgusting.
Nottingham when I was at uni. Yeah, it's not great, is it? I'm glad you're with me here.
Disgusting.
I think the quesadillas are nice.
Disgusting.
For everything else, shite. Their chips, soggy beyond belief,
the
innit?
chips,
They're drenched in grease.
I expect nothing from them
awful.
because if
I
KFC
don't
can
get
be
that. I
around
don't
for
get
as
it.
long as they have and not create a good chip, I don't expect big things. So I'm not judging it on chips. It's a Mexican gaff. But if
They're
we're
actually not too bad anymore. I don't know if they changed the recipe, but
all of the snacks and all of the tacos is trash. They had one in Bournemouth and they opened up one and I thought, you know what, I've never had a Taco Bell. And I had one and it was vile. Everything was sloppy. The lettuce was wet. It was greasy. It was grim.
They're
But
not
here
great.
it was delightful. But that's
sloppy.
what I had anyway. However, what I haven't actually mentioned, here it was delightful. It was
wow.
It was really, really nice actually. I got the grilled chicken. And because all the thing is here, no matter where you order from, whether it's a truck round the corner or whether it's a high-end restaurant,
it's ingredients.
they all have access to tremendously fresh ingredients. So in regards to vegetables at the very least. So if there are things like a taco, which is 80% actually vegetation, if you're in an area that has access to very good quality vegetation, it always makes it better. So the salsa inside was actually flavorful, you know. When I go to 7-Eleven, I get these little spring rolls, and they're like Vietnamese spring rolls. They're fantastic, just because it's like 90% vegetable, you know. Regardless, It's actually my last day in Thailand. It's my last day in Thailand today.
Yes, I was actually this is what I was going to ask you about next, actually, because you are flying to where? I'm sure you've said it before. I know, but remind the listeners / viewers. You fly. I thought you were going to do,
I'm coming back.
The old. Oh, okay, you're coming back. Nice. I don't know if I was allowed to say where you were going. I cannot remember if we've actually mentioned it on
irrelevant
on the pod or not.
Well, not irrelevant. Just it's not irrelevant at all. It's
irrelevant.
Irrelevant. It's actually hugely relevant. However, I will be coming home tomorrow. I will be getting in the evening, and then as soon as I touch on the ground, really, it's just going to be an absolute scramble to Cage Warriors, which is on Saturday. And they've actually given me. They dropped me a message today. Cage Warriors dropped me a message today, and they've actually given me 4 tickets to give out. So I'll be flying back to London, going to the O2 down the road from my house to the event. Cage Warriors. There's a £50,000 tournament, and I've been given 4 tickets to give away. So I'm gonna think of some fun, creative way of how I can give them away. But I will be there covering the event, and I also will be giving away 4 tickets to Cage Warriors in London on 20th of July.
Leverage it. Leverage your platform. I don't know how I'm trying to think how you could. I mean, I'm sure you've already brainstormed some great ideas for it.
A little promo on that, and I was just clipping that up. I've got a few.
Of course.
Got a few things to.
Of course.
Yeah, got.
As is your right. This is our space to do so.
So I will be there on Saturday, and then it's going to be a hectic week. Hectic week because it will be
back in the capital.
There on Monday,
and then you got UFC Manchester, of course.
At the O2 till late on the Saturday, so I'll really only have. I'll be getting home early morning on that Saturday. On that Sunday morning, sorry. And then I'll only have Sunday, and then I'll be going Monday at like 6 a.m. to Manchester. And then I'll be coming back, flipping hell. I'll be coming back, I mentioned this last week, to London and then to Cornwall. And then from Cornwall straight to Vegas. So it's actually a bit of a hectic couple of weeks.
I don't want to know how much you're spending on all those flights.
No, I'm only
probably a scary amount.
Yeah, to Vegas I'm flying, not to Cornwall.
The Vegas flight's going to be...
So it's going to be a bit of a hectic couple of weeks, but obviously
I don't know. I don't actually
Manchester,
know the prices, but...
And a lot of moving parts to that.
Yeah,
in regards to the clothing and the hats and the wristbands and the food and the drinks and the comics and the packaging. And oh my goodness, there's been a crazy amount of stuff to try and balance. And honestly, I'm at this point where none of it could turn up on time. None of it could turn up on time, or all of it could turn up on time. And we're going to have to just roll the dice and live a vida loca.
To be honest, though, I think that's rolling the dice is kind of just innately what we do as creators, because everything falls on your shoulders and things aren't necessarily planned to the utmost degree where it's all going to go right. So you kind of, it's a gambling game in pretty much every aspect, whether you're picking a different thumbnail or you're trying to work with a production team to get things, on time. There's going to be a lot of just auxiliary factors, if that's the phrase to use, that are going to affect your creative process. But yeah, that's I don't envy your position. And I mean, I do and I don't, but the stress levels would probably send me over the edge just a little bit. In terms of content creation, obviously I already spoke about the new channel, but obviously I'm working towards UFC 304 with my casuals guide stuff. Reaching out to brands as well, trying to think of ideas for the clothing designs, because I said I wanted 3 of them done, at least done, commissioned by the end of the year, and then look at starting doing that as a clothing thing, because I'm really excited to do that. But yeah, a lot of moving parts for both of us, but probably more so on your end.
What I would say for you is I'm not telling you what to do. Well, I'm inadvertently saying if I were you, I would do something along this. I think it'd probably be a good idea and be very easy to do with minimal friction, minimal downside, maximum upside. This is why I'm saying it. I would take your long-term goal by the end of the year to have 3 designs. Cool. I would break that up into, where are we now? July. So the end of the year is what? 5 months? 5 divided by 3. Let's just call it 6 to make it easy. So let's just say 1.5 months away would be where you do your first one. Okay, so 1.5 months would be what? The end of July, the end of August. So I would say 1.5 months would be numerically where you should have 1 design done if you would have 3 by the end of the year. So in 1.5 months, which is the end of August, I would say you have to have 1 design done. Then you can go online and just type into Google, this is what you're going to do, print on demand, and you're literally just going to get it and print it just so that you can have it. Doesn't need to be your favorite, best, final, all of that, just so you can have it,
of course,
and have it on yourself. Wear it in a couple of lives, wear it on a podcast, wear it in a thing, and that is what you're going to be able to do in 1.5 months. It will cost you about £15, and the time to design it, however long that may take you. Super simple. And step 1. Or
I will commission someone for that,
so it will cost maybe
a little bit more,
£100, £150 or something.
Yes,
about that. Would you say?
Yeah, something like that. Honestly, it varies a lot. It just depends on what people pay, people are willing to charge rather. Yeah. I mean, I'd be happy to pay up to that. Yeah, I haven't really got a budget in mind for it, but my expenses are very slim right now anyway. So I'm willing to, if it needs to be maximized. In if it's, I'm losing my sentence. I'm not afraid to spend extra money on it if needed. Essentially, is what I'm getting at, because my expenses are quite low anyway, and my money's not going anywhere. So why not? But yeah, it's exciting. So it's all down to really finding that creative spark, because for me, whenever I think of these ideas, particularly on the clothing side of things, it's very spur of the moment. It's not a methodical process. It's getting stuff down on a mood board and crappy little drafts and stuff. You'll know the exact sort of thing I'm getting at. So it's a different approach that I'm taking compared to my, not necessarily formulaic, but my regular content schedule of one a week, getting the documentary done, writing on the Monday, recording on the Tuesday, and starting the edit and pushing all the way through to Friday, this, that, and having that regular sort of schedule. This clothing stuff's very spur of the moment. But I guess when you look at it in a long-term perspective, as you said, over the next 6 months, it's good to sort of structure that at least loosely. I don't think
you have to have
it's exciting.
Methodical plan of just have an end date of, okay, I want to get a design done by the end of flipping August. That's a long time and not a lot of pressure to do that. And also, for your job, you articulate your thoughts into stories. So you may as well start playing around and looking at the best software and having a look at giving good descriptions of exactly what you want. that you would have to give to a designer. Why don't you just start by finding good AI software that's image curating, and then just giving it really in-depth detailed prompts and just seeing what comes back, because that's a free way that you can start and at least get some ideas. Well,
I did experiment with that a little bit, but I didn't have. I was trying to get it to basically get as close as to what I was imagining in my head, but I couldn't really get it down. But I do have an insanely big mood board of essentially everything of what I'm getting at, which I think is a good way of doing it. What you can do is you can put those things into an AI to then ask you to give it. And I believe you can even add images now as well. Add images, add words, and then you can ask it to give you the best prompt for creating an image. And so you can like double end it, if that makes sense. So you can get the prompt and then put it back in. And you can I got you.
Make it more comprehensive. So you can input all the information. It then spits out the perfect prompt. And then you can play with that. And then you can just keep... Well, what can you do that through? You can put
besides, I'm assuming
information through ChatGPT to give you a good prompt. What I would do, I'm not a master on this, but I would personally, like I say, put the images, put the text through, put as much as I could, put as much detail through. I would even find reference points and say, similar to the style, I'd just give it as much info as I possibly could in small chunks. I would start to ask it questions at the start so it warms into what it's asking you, and then I would just get way in depth to give it as much information as I could, like as much as I could, like not a sentence or two or three or four. I'm talking like 2-3 paragraphs of exactly what you're thinking of, then even giving it reference points and points of inspiration, and then asking for a prompt, and then finding the best AI image generators, and then using those prompts and different iterations of the prompt to find the image. That's what I would probably do to find a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely a foreign
not that I've done this
for me. That AI, I've generally, again, I use it partially in my... I don't think many people have, because it's still so new on the grand scheme of things. And it's true. Like for me, it's very foreign. Like I've used a bit of AI aid in terms of my thumbnails, not in terms of actually generating imagery and stuff, but more so enhancing blurry stuff. So little things like that. If I have a blurry image that I really want to use, I can use an enhance tool just to upscale it just a little bit. Little things like that. And I think that's... Wait, what do you mean? I'm not getting it. You're losing me.
It's always funny when it goes over your head. But as you were saying,
don't do that. You've got to explain it now. No.
I like
explain it. Oh my god! I think I get it. Yeah, okay, that took me a second. You don't need to explain it. You definitely don't need to explain it. Got you.
Straight over as well.
I didn't think you'd go there. I didn't think you were going there.
Podcast, I can say
okay, I got you. Point. Cool, loud and clear. Yeah, you can understand my point of view of not getting that, because that would not be what I'm thinking of. So you definitely don't need to explain it. Got it. Loud and clear.
Where were we?
Fucking hell. That is good though. And now I kind of wish I did get it. Again, I'll say it again. You never answered the Rose Namajunas question.
No, it wasn't. I hadn't answered it. I hadn't circled back.
Where did she go?
I was ready to circle back.
Of which I'll do now. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Title shot? What are we feeling?
I like watching Rose fight. She's so fluid. It's incredible. Honestly, it is. And when I do any sport or especially Muay Thai. The thing that I watch and marvel at the most when I watch mixed martial arts is the balance and the fluidity of movement, because I personally struggle with that. So I'm always in awe of it. So I watch people like Rose and it is incredible. But when I just look at the general landscape of mixed martial arts and I think of fights that I'm really excited about and fighters I really want to get in the diary, she just isn't at the top of that list, or at least in any close consideration to the top. And that's nothing to speak on her skill or her standing or what she should do next. It's just my honest approach to that. I'm thinking Alex Pereira's John Jones. Maybe John Jones is in prison because he's not going to pay this legal fine. It's all kicking off. He's assaulted the flip. It's all going off again. Craziness. So yeah, in answer to your question, I'm not too fussed. I'll happily watch whoever it is, but I don't know.
just quickly going back to what you just said about John Jones. In case you don't know, or you're out of the loop a little bit, he just got 2 misdemeanor charges for. There was an incident with the new anti-doping company that works with the UFC trying to test him, and there was a whole thing going on. And now that's obviously resulted in 2 misdemeanor charges and potential prison time. And it just leads me back to the point I always make whenever anyone asks me advice about content creation or making videos in my streams and stuff. I always make the point of never make a video on John Jones, because it is the most exhausting thing structurally to plan and make. And it makes the logistics a nightmare, because the timeline of everything he has done outside of the UFC and inside of it, to be honest with you, is an absolute shit show, and it's so hard to keep track of. And now that's one more chapter in the books on his Wikipedia page. So for your own sanity, if you are looking into doing MMA content creation, don't make videos on John Jones. I mean, they do well, but good luck. That's all I'll say, because it is stressful. I mean, listen, if you're willing to wade through the cesspit that is his life, then by all means go for it. There is light at the end of the tunnel in regards to that, but it's a very tricky process.
I don't know if it's a new chapter in his Wikipedia, because it was a previous event. I don't know why this is coming up now. I don't really know American legal systems inside and out, which is actually a great shame, because I gave up many years of my life watching Suits, and I mean that dead serious. I've watched all of that. It's a good
Never
series.
seen it.
When I had a lot of time on my hands, I watched that in excess. I can't even explain that enough. Coming back to what I was saying, I have no idea about the legal structure, but it is a bit weird though, isn't it? Because something doesn't add up with all of that, because her story, the funny part is the video footage they have of those agents leaving the house. They're high-fiving, they're smiling, they're giggling. Yeah. But John Jones is the type of strategic mind to know that those webcams are rolling, and to know that something just possibly went down in there not too great, and he's got to put on a good front for the camera. Think about it. When the pressure's on and he's under the brightest lights, he shines strategically. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility of him playing this role of a nice ending, a nice amicable ending for the video footage, which is then conveniently leaked, because something just doesn't add up here. What do you reckon?
No, I'm with you. After analysing many videos of John Jones, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that he's a very... you said strategic. I think I'd probably go with a different term. But yeah, I guess fake is one word I'd use.
You're better than that.
You know, there's a lot of masks to John Jones. Yeah, fake's not a great word. But there are a lot of masks to John Jones. There's a lot of different clashing personalities. Okay, no. Fake. Fraudulent. That's not bad. That's a classic. I think it's better. There's better words, but So I'm normally good at this when I'm in my writing flow. I need it on paper. I'll go with fraudulent for now, but
welcome.
Yeah, it's not great. But I do agree. I do agree for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. I think all of this really is a sort of conclusion to that sort of saga and just everything John Jones has been going through in the last 2 years. Just strip the man of his undisputed title. For the love of God. You got UFC 304 on the horizon, only a couple of weeks away, and we have an interim champion who should be fighting the undisputed champion. And I'm not going to rehash that whole saga too much, but I guess I'm just going to bring that point back to we need a Robert Whittaker type situation where the interim just gets promoted off his own accord because the undisputed champion is not available for whatever reason. And this is just another reason. It's just another reason to strip him. No, of course we don't want it, but we know John Jones isn't going to fight Tom Aspinall, is he?
I don't want him to be stripped. I actually don't.
If we're not getting at, then
don't know if I thought like this before, but it makes no sense. In fact, it's a terrible idea ever stripping John Jones. The interim title was the right move. Just the correct move was then Tom Aspinall, John Jones, because then you had 2 belts. I don't care if people say it's interim. I don't care. When those press conferences go on and those 2 individuals talk about their performances that they're about to have, they'll both have gold belts in front of them. So there is 1 belt on the line, but there'll be 2 at the press conference. So it's a visual spectacle and also 2 pay-per-view payouts as well. So it's just very, very handy. So I don't think they should have stripped him. But he's never fighting the winner. I can't even just say Tom Aspinall. I hope it's Tom Aspinall, but he's got a big fight and an important fight and a lot of pressure. Yeah, of course. Right?
No,
it's
no
not
disrespect
like it's
to Curtis Blades, though.
Some mug, you know. If you're going to go out and fight anyone, it's quite a terrifying man to fight, to be perfectly honest. Can he wrestle? Yeah, he can wrestle. Is he light? Because there are people that can wrestle that are light, a Jailton Almeida. No, not really. He tops the scales 265. It's like, Is he experienced? Yeah, very experienced. Okay, this is tough. It's like, has he got a good... He's got everything that you wouldn't want in an opponent in the heavyweight division, to be perfectly honest, for the most part. So we've got to entertain the idea that he's going to be there. So John Jones is not fighting either of those. How so?
Doesn't that speak volumes, though? Doesn't that speak volumes to how much we value the skill of Tom Aspinall, that we almost just overlook Curtis Blades, who is, by all accounts, one of the best in the division, and we're still not necessarily writing him off, but we didn't even give him a thought there for a second. Let's be honest there. We were just assuming that Aspinall would be fighting Jones because we didn't even have Curtis in the conversation. And that just shows you how much
it's true, but I think it's
Aspinall
just because,
is good,
in my head at least, tell me I'm wrong, give me different figures. I think if those heavyweights fight 10 times, I think Tom wins 8.5 times out of 10. So I don't think he can't lose. I just think he loses.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Very few times out of 10. Very few times. So we may see that. So when I just skip over Curtis, it's more from a probability sense. I don't see it happening. But it's not to say it can't happen. But yeah, John ain't fighting either.
If I've had to give you an very early prediction on that fight, not the Jones one, the Blades fight we've got coming up, how do you see that happening? Because you've called a couple of fights pretty accurately, namely the Sean O'Malley one, which I have to give you that credit for.
Which one?
That one sticks out to me. The Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. Yeah. You had
I'll tell
on
you
the
what.
money, pretty much. Yeah.
I've gone on 3 podcasts.
I gave you that one.
The first was our own, was the Aljamain Sterling one. But then I got invited onto 2 podcasts. The Justin Gaethje Max Holloway and the Alex Pereira Yibrahashka.
I saw this.
On the...
Yes, the Max Holloway one. I remember you saying the late finish on TikTok. I saw that.
I didn't say... Don't downplay me like that. Come on. Don't downplay me like that. I gave the full setup.
All right.
No, I got the random one.
You said round 5.
I got the setup. I got the breakdown.
And then some, yeah.
But I done it
Well, I said decision, so I was about 1 second away from that.
By hook or by crook, done it publicly on 2 podcasts.
No, I'm joking. I'll give you the credit.
And I'm going to be on a couple for this UFC 304, so I'm actually going to have to really think about this. I don't want to be tarnishing my legacy.
You don't want to tarnish your reputation. I'm putting you on the spot. This is what it's about.
If I was to give you an early one,
this is when the predictions matter the most.
Into the X and O's too much, but I don't really need to. Quite honestly, I know both fighters very, very well. I can see a world in where there is going to be. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. I can see a world in where there's going to be one, 2, 3 exchanges, whatever that looks like. 1 to 3 exchanges, I believe there's going to be, where Curtis Blades will entertain striking. Whatever that looks like, he'll entertain it for 1 to 3 exchanges, whether that's 5 seconds or whether that's 5 minutes. It will at least be 1 to 3. I think as soon as that happens, he's then going to get a sense of the speed and the combinations within those first 3 exchanges. I then think he's going to look to incorporate his takedowns. Similar to what he done against the Pavlovich, I think he's going to shoot from where he thinks is a comfortable range, but it's not going to be a comfortable range, and he starts guessing himself. So he's either going to shoot onto something, or he's just going to freeze up and not want to level change because he sees knees, uppercuts, and Tom Aspinall switching his stances, and he can't track him down. So then I think he'll freeze him up. So he either gets the unsuccessful takedown, or he just doesn't get it at all, and then he's forced to stand. I think he's going to get knocked down by a straight 1-2 down the pipe, circling off to Tom Aspinall's power side. And then I think Tom's going to be able to do enough just to put him away with TKOs, with elbows and punches from a turtle position in side control. That's how I think I see it going.
Yeah.
First.
What round? Yeah. I'm almost annoyed because that's what I was going to say. I was going to go, if I was going to go first, I was going to say virtually exactly the same thing. I was literally the straight 1-2 down the pipe. You'll catch him. He'll just catch him and then finish him on the mat. Like, that will be it. I give it in under a minute. I honestly, it's exactly the prediction I've been having for weeks whenever I envision that fight. No, well, yeah, we're on the same page. I feel like we are, for the most part. So, as educated fans of the sport, and I'm trying to chat shit. But yeah, no, I'm fully agree with that. But again, we cannot rule out anything because Curtis Blades does hit extraordinarily hard, and I almost think people forget that those hammer fists, if you want to call them that, those back or the elbows on Almeida to get that finish, he was just levering them. And even then, if you look at some of his previous fights, he does hit pretty damn hard. He's a heavyweight. He's a big heavyweight, and that's the risk you run at that division. That's why I almost wish Tom was fighting a light heavyweight, because if he had this ability at light heavyweight, there's a slightly less knockout, fear of a knockout rather, in that division, just because of the weight gap. But I almost wish he had the same abilities translated just down the division, because he'd have way less risk and find way more success. But that's a different conversation.
I think there's more risk probably at light heavyweight. I think there's more risk at light heavyweight for him.
Actually, yeah, I guess if you look at range of competition, yeah, that's a fair point. Because I don't think Tom's going to lose to a fat overweight heavyweight anytime soon, even if they hit like an absolute freight train. He's not going to be there. Yeah, it's not even.
Some people haven't gone into a gym and seen what a quote unquote traditional heavyweight looks like. I'm not saying there's some mess of unathletic blubber, but I am saying that they can't all flipping switch high kick in a split second and have these incredible arsenal of spinning attacks and elbows and kicks and knees and skip knees and switch knees and flying knees. They don't have that. They don't. They just don't. And not just heavyweights, not really light heavyweights, and not really many middleweights. Not many flipping welterweights, for that matter. So it's just very, very difficult to see him losing to someone like a...
Anyone? I think we can say anyone.
Rosenstrike. He's a good striker, to be fair. He's a good striker. He actually is not. Yes. Of all people, that probably weren't the best.
He's
person,
all right.
He probably could wing out a little left hook and find a home, to be honest. He is powerful. Yeah. But yeah.
You never know. But just to round off on that, just before we finish up, just shows you how well that win over Alexander Volkov has aged. Can we just mention that? Because we're in a position where he should be fighting for the title now. Right? Is he number 2 ranked in the division after just picking apart Sergey Pavlovich like it was nothing, which I will pat myself on the back on and predicting. But what an impressive performance that was. And now, I don't think he's. I'm sure he's looking at John Jones rather than Tom Aspinall, because I don't think he wants any piece of what Tom's doing.
Mate,
yeah, and he did. And I don't blame him, because I think it's an easier fight.
If you go back and watch tape, it looks like John Jones takes him down in the first.
That's John Jones.
Submits him. If that is likely how they fight. But when he first said it, I did think it would be the first opponent that would probably have a reach advantage over him, so that would be interesting. And he's looking good from range. So it's like, I'm not sitting here saying I think Volkov beats him. But I'm saying I kind of was a little bit like, okay, I'd like to see a round of it. You know, like I'd like to see a round. I don't know what I turned.
I'd rather see that than him fight Aspinall again.
Oh yeah,
I think everybody would be in agreement with that, right?
I would. I'd like to see a round of it. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh, I'm not looking forward to this flight. We've got to round off in a minute because I've got so much work to do. What's the time? 2:00. Oh, I'm not sleeping today.
When are you flying?
I'm not sleeping today. I didn't realise it was 2:00. I'm not sleeping today.
Acceptance. That's the last stage. So you're already there. That's good to know.
When you get to that point and you don't sleep, what can tend to happen is then when you close your eyes, you just wake up and you've realised you've missed a flight. That could get done.
Yeah.
And I've missed a couple. I've never missed a flight, but I've missed a couple in Thailand. But
I was in your
spot where they were to Phuket and back and forth to Bangkok, and they're about £30. So it's not the end of the world. No,
it's not the end of the world.
But back to London, a little bit more painful.
Not the end of the world, indeed. Anyway, this has. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, there you go. This has been the MMA Creators Podcast, episode number 59. Very random episode today, but it was a lot of fun. So we will see you next week as per.